You'd be surprised at how many celebrities are banned from attending these award shows. I'm so sorry, but we have to start with the slap. If you've been living under a rock for the past couple of years, you probably didn't know that Will Smith got up on that Oscar stage in 2022 to slap Chris Rock. When I say this moment was iconic, it really was, with the impact the slap had on the world and on Chris Rock's face / ego probably. But in order to discuss this, we have to rewind a bit. Like, why did Will do all that on live national television nonetheless? Well, Chris was presenting the Best Documentary Award that evening, and as a comedian, he couldn't do it without a few jokes. One of them being calling out Jada Pinkett Smith for her shaved head. Jada, who had alopecia, did not find the joke funny at all, and neither did Will, obviously. He didn't let the disrespect go and did what he had to do, but not without reminding him to keep his wife's name out of Chris's mouth. What makes this wilder was Will going back on stage 10 minutes later for winning his first ever Oscar award for Best Actor. Don't worry, he apologized to Chris and the Academy, and even though he received a 10-year ban from the show, Will is still an icon. Next up is the time Jay-Z called out the Grammys. During this year's Grammys, Jay-Z won the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award and took it as an opportunity to call out the Recording Academy for failing Beyoncé, his wife. The list of Album of the Year nominees did not include Beyoncé and her phenomenal Renaissance album. I don't even listen to the album, and I'm surprised Beyoncé wasn't nominated either. Anyways, Jay-Z acknowledged the fact that nominations are purely subjective, and he doesn't mean to embarrass Taylor Swift, who won this year. But Beyoncé broke the record of winning most Grammys at 32 wins to date. And the fact that she hasn't even won Album of the Year yet, which is the highest coveted award of the show, is wild. And his speech did not stop there. He said, "Some of you gonna go home tonight feeling like you've been robbed. Some of you don't belong in the category," which was definitely a type of diss to other nominees, but yeah, he really went there. He clarified he was nervous, but said when he's nervous, he speaks the truth, so he said what he said and he's not taking it back. Coming up next is Lady Gaga's meat dress. The meat dress was definitely one for the times. During the 2010 VMAs, Lady Gaga was already a household name with an interesting reputation among the media and her fans. So her accepting the award for Best Video in an outfit made of entirely real red meat should not be too surprising. But it was, because back then, the wild and bold was still something the world feared. She had the meat dress, the meat hat, meat shoes, and finished off the look with a meat clutch. She confused the media and angered a lot of vegetarians and vegans for that one, and many hoped it wasn't actual meat, but they were greatly disappointed. I can only imagine the odor through that night. And the reaction among celebrities was priceless. Even today, she has zero regrets about it. She remembered the smell and thought it was so thrilling to wear. The whole point of the outfit was to go against boundaries and make a lasting impression, and I can confidently say that she and her stylist did just that. Since 14 years later, we're still talking about it today. Coming up next, John Travolta can't read. Okay, picture this. It's the year 2014 and Frozen is literally the biggest grossing movie right now. It was nominated and won 2 Oscars that year as was expected. But this is where John Travolta comes in, as he was the one to present Idina Menzel's live performance of Let It Go. Now, instead of saying her name, he completely butchered it and called her Adele Dazeem, which is nowhere close to being right. All he had to do was read from a screen. How could he mess that up? But low-key, I don't blame him. You'd think reading off a teleprompter would mean no mistakes, right? Anyways, his little fumble was all anyone could ever talk about. He later shared that at the time he had just finished talking to Hollywood icon Goldie Hawn, so maybe he was still not very present when he got on stage. He even sent Idina flowers as an apology. Thankfully, she wasn't ever offended in the slightest and even got her revenge the following year, calling him Glom Gazingo. This year marks the 10th anniversary of John Travolta's mistake, and to celebrate, Idina posted a TikTok wishing Adele Dazeem a happy 10th birthday. Coming up next is the time Jodie Foster came out of the closet. For her Golden Globes acceptance speech in 2013, people thought she finally came out after years of speculation. She didn't really, nor did she explicitly state what was already common knowledge at the time, because by then people already knew / had an idea she liked women. But it was the first time she did kind of address it in public. This brought on the discussion of celebrities' relationship with the media and society as a whole. She said that she already had the coming out spiel years ago with only trusted family and friends, friends. But with fame, it seems like all of your personal details need to be announced to the world, like at a press conference. This was her way of saying that she's not gonna state the obvious to the world like it's their given right, nor does she need to. She also made a joke about how her life is not a reality show, and if it was, it would be extremely boring. She sparked ongoing conversation about celebrities and their rights to privacy, which is super ironic for me to even talk about. Next up is Jo Koy's jokes. Comedian Jo Koy did not win the crowd over after his hosting gig at the Golden Globes a couple of months ago. During his monologue, he decided to take a stab at the whole Taylor Swift and NFL thing, saying that the difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL was that they have fewer shots of the singer. This was referencing the time the NFL was constantly putting Taylor on their Jumbotron and promoting her and Travis Kelce's relationship. Now, let me just say, this wasn't the most heinous joke in the world, but it also wasn't funny at all. Taylor's fans definitely felt disrespected by it with the way they took to Twitter to express their distaste for him and his hosting. He later shared that the joke wasn't meant to offend her in any way because it was just a dumb little joke. He said that he's also a fan of hers as he helped his nieces get tickets for her sold-out Eras tour. His other joke about the Barbie movie was one that most people had an issue with. He reduced the film to just being about a plastic doll with a big chest size, if you know what I mean. However, according to director Greta Gerwig, he was absolutely right in a sense, but that did not stop people from calling him out. I mean, with these types of gigs, you win some, you lose some. Maybe he'll get another chance to host another award show. Next up is getting arrested at the Grammys. The Grammys this year was kinda wild, at least for artist Michael Santiago Render, whose stage name I'm probably not allowed to say against video guidelines. Anyways, during the Grammys pre-televised event, he won not just one, not two, but 3 Grammys. He won Best Rap Song, Best Rap Performance, and Best Rap Album. But what was supposed to be an incredible and eventful evening turned sideways real fast when he was escorted out of the venue in handcuffs. Witnesses were super confused because he didn't do anything wrong. There were even rumors that he resisted and had to be carried out, which were all untrue. Mind you, this all happened right after he won his awards and got his trophies. The police really had to go in there and ruin his moment, didn't they? One of his representatives clarified that he was arrested as a result of a misdemeanor, one that was unrelated to his music or the Grammys. Later, he was asked about it and only said that nothing bad happened and that's just life. In his words, "But we winners, that's it, we hit a speed bump and then we hit back to the party." And honestly, that's a great life motto if I've ever seen one. Coming up next is Rachel Zegler's Oscar debut. In 2022, Steven Spielberg's West Side Story was nominated for 7 Oscar awards. So you'd think that would mean the leading star, aka Rachel Zegler, who took on the iconic role of Maria, would be invited, right? Unfortunately, no. Fans assumed she would be attending because duh, but after one fan asked her what she'd be wearing, she said she'd be wearing her sweatpants and her boyfriend's flannel because she wasn't invited. This caused an uproar among her fan base because what do you mean she wasn't invited? It had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that she is a fresh face in Hollywood, but if a Steven Spielberg movie was nominated for that many awards, it only makes sense that she attends. She clarified that she tried everything she could but was unable to get a ticket. She did say that she's very proud of the film and will be cheering them on from the comfort of her room. And while she was able to accept it, the fans refused to because she did end up showing up, not as a guest, but as a presenter, which is honestly better than nothing. It's unclear if her invitation was caused by the fans' commotion or just a production miracle, but the important thing is she got to go. Next up is announcing the wrong winner. If you thought Will Smith slapping Chris Rock in front of hundreds of people was awkward, then let me remind you of the time the wrong movie was presented for winning Best Picture. Hollywood actors Faye Dunaway and Beaty were given the responsibility to announce the winners, but as a result of holding the wrong envelope meant the most awkward Oscar fumble in the history of awkward Oscar fumbles. After La La Land was announced, there was the celebratory period among the cast and crew, and it would have been a beautiful and well-deserved moment had they actually been the winners. I feel so bad watching it back because they were in the middle of doing their acceptance speeches when it was revealed that they did not in fact win. The real win was actually the iconic film Moonlight. So what happened was, Warren Beatty received the wrong envelope, and if you look back, you can tell he was really confused when he read it, only for Faye Dunaway to announce La La Land for him. The envelope had Emma Stone's name from her win earlier that night. I'm sure whoever handed the wrong envelope felt so bad after this, but at least they made history. And what better way to finish off this list but with another awkward awards show win? Yeah, I'm talking about the time Kanye West started his never-ending pending beef with Taylor Swift. In 2009, Taylor Swift was up on stage about to give her speech after winning Best Video for Female Artist. But then Kanye came out of nowhere to deliver his message of objection and also the iconic "I'ma let you finish" but line that still gets referenced to this day. Anyways, he just wanted the whole world to know that it should have been Beyonce to win with her hit song Single Ladies. Even with the mixed cheers and booing, you could tell that Taylor was super uncomfortable. Like, he literally ruined a huge moment for her just to make it about himself. It's actually quite interesting that someone had to point out Beyonce deserved to win instead of Taylor twice throughout Taylor's career, but Kanye went about it in the most inappropriate way. Taylor wasn't even done with her speech before Kanye came on stage, and a lot of fans were furious as to why they just let him go on stage like that, calling the VMAs out for their unprofessionalism. If only they knew what would become of Kanye and Taylor after this, as it sparked the tension between both artists even today. You know what they say, you can't spell awkward without awards, so everything just makes sense. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.